Good morning. Listen, you did it. You have arrived on one of the coldest days that I can remember. You made it. You got up this morning. You wanted to come into His presence. I feel like I should have a Valentine's present for each one of you. I don't, but I feel like I should. You made it. You're here. I'm glad you're here because I got a call from a friend, and it was, this cold, whatever we want to call it, front is going across a lot of the Midwest, but in different ways. Someone called me and said, man, it's like whatever it was, 20-something, and I was just like, well, it was like negative 29 feels like temp here this morning, like negative 14 real temp, or whatever it was, and there are different levels of cold, and there are places that would laugh at us for saying that's cold, but you made it to worship, and that's awesome. Love it. I love coming here this morning, and literally, Michael, my son, my 4-year-old is almost 5, which is crazy to think about. But he got here this morning. He's really into this thing. He got it from Ron Ward, which is a problem in itself. But we'll work on that lately. But he walked into the church and he was just like, woo! As soon as he got here, I'm like, yeah, man, we did it. We made it. And he had just woken up. He didn't even really know what was going on. So we just got here and he was excited. And so this morning, on a day when we're supposed to be, by everybody else's standards, focused on everything but the Lord, we're going to focus our hearts on the Lord. And we're going to open up our hearts and our ears to hearing what He wants us to hear this morning. And it's going to be a little different this morning. We're in this series, Jesus Teaches. And we're going to read from Luke 18, 1 through 8. And the parable of the persistent widow. But I'm going to tell you in just a little bit of how it's going to look a little differently. Do want to remind you that next week, after the service, am I supposed to do something? This one's got lipstick all over it. I guess it's okay because it's my wife's. So it feels a little better, but I got thrown off. Chris never comes up on the stage, so that was really, I thought it was going to be really bad for a minute, but just want to remind you that next week is our business meeting. A lot of people have asked after the announcement was, am I allowed even if I'm not an official voting member? Yes, you are. Everybody's allowed to that. We try to keep them short after church. And we know everybody's hungry, but we share with what's going on. Usually a few things that we need to vote on. But you are definitely welcome to attend whether you are voting or not. And so that is directly after church. As soon as you get back in here, if you gather your kids so our children's workers can come, as soon as you get back in here, we'll get started and get moving through that. So Luke 18, 1 through 8, the parable of the persistent widow. Then Jesus told His disciples a parable to show them that they should always pray and not give up. He said, in a certain town there was a judge who neither feared God nor cared what people thought. And there was a widow in that town who kept coming to him with the plea, grant me justice against my adversary. For some time he refused, but finally he said to himself, even though I don't fear God or care what people think, yet because this widow keeps bothering me, I will see that she gets justice so that she won't eventually come and attack me. In verse 6, hear this. And the Lord said, listen to what the unjust judge says. And will not God bring about justice for His chosen ones who cry out to Him day and night? Will He keep putting them off? I tell you, He will see that they get justice and quickly. However, when the Son of Man comes, will He find faith on the earth? One of the things I want us to talk about this morning, I'm going to preach pretty quickly because we're going to spend some time at the altar again with something I believe God wants us to focus on this morning. But one of the things we need to understand today is that what this is not saying is where I see a lot of people take this. Is that basically we take this and we move it into whatever we're praying for, whatever we're hoping for, whatever we're wishing for, whatever we're dreaming about, whatever injustice we think is happening in our life, if I just pray hard enough, if I just pray long enough, God's going to grant me that justice. But that is not what that scripture says. A lot of people will tell you that if you just try harder in your prayers, pray longer, it says don't give up. So just don't give up on praying for that item or that issue, and then God's going to give you that answer that you were hoping for. I'll be honest with you right now. I have wished and hoped and dreamed and asked for a lot of things that were not God's will in my lifetime. And I'm very, very, very thankful that He did not give me justice on some of the people I prayed for justice for. Like, God, take care of that person. Or take care of this issue in my life. They deserve this. Or, God, I really want this. I really hope for this. I've been dreaming for this. I've been praying for this. But it doesn't mean it was God's will. And growing up, I can definitely look back, and if I just look at today, Valentine's Day, I can look, I don't know where she went. Oh, there she is. Everybody give a round of applause to my wife, Megan Hunsberger. It was perfect timing. I'm really thankful that all the different girls, women in my life that I prayed for or believed they were the one, I love the song, Garth Brooks, I thank God for what? Unanswered prayers. I'm telling you what, I'm really thankful that God didn't grant every time I wished for another person growing up. I'm really thankful that my wife was someone that God had chosen for me, and that I didn't get everything I just prayed or wished or hoped for or dreamed for. But Michael, the problem is then I'll pair it with another famous verse that people memorize. I got some competition in the back. I'll speak up. I got it. Don't worry about it. But what people love to do is they'll pair this with Psalm 37:4, right? Psalm 37:4 tells us what? That take delight in the Lord, for He will give you the desires of your heart. So we memorize that. Why? Because that feels really good. And it sounds really good. Is that if I take delight, He'll give me everything that my heart desires. So we'll pair that with what we just read in that persistent widow. So if I'm just persistent and I just keep praying for that thing, at some point there's going to be breakthrough and it's going to happen. It's almost like a mic drop in the church. It's like my trump card. He'll give you the desires of your heart. But see, the problem is if you just break down Psalm 37 and read the rest of it, there's a lot more in that psalm. So let's just start in verse 3. It says, trust in the Lord and do good. Dwell in the land and enjoy safe pasture. Here comes that famous verse. Take delight in the Lord and He will give you the desires of your heart. Commit your way to the Lord. Trust in Him and He will do this. He will make your righteous reward shine like the dawn, your vindication like the noonday sun. Be still before the Lord and wait patiently for Him. Do not fret when people succeed in their ways, when they carry out their wicked schemes. Refrain from anger and turn from wrath. Do not fret. It leads only to evil. For those who are evil will be destroyed, but those who hope in the Lord will inherit the land. So there's a lot more in just those verses that I read, than just the famous 37:4, take delight in the Lord, and He will give you the desires of your heart. And if we look at just some of the key words in that chapter, let's look at them. Number one, it said, trust in the Lord. If God just gave me everything that I ever wished for, prayed for, and I just went, God, do this, and He did it, would I really ever have to trust in anything? I'd be like, I don't got to trust in anything other than my word. I'd just be like, you know what? I want Natalie to be sitting in that chair and not that chair. God would just, right there, boom, see? Immediate. That's the only time she's ever listened to me. Ever. That's more like it. Right? But it tells me I need to trust. So that tells me things might not always go the way my eyes think they should go, my thoughts think they should go. It says trust. It also says Take delight again. We're talking about taking delight in the Lord. Taking delight. Spending time with. Aiming yourself at Him. In His presence. Praising, worship, loving Him. Take delight. It says, commit your way. Wait a minute. I thought my way was the way, because if I pray about it and it happens, that means my way's the way. No, it said commit your way. Commit your life to Him. Commit your priorities, your dreams, your plan to Him. It said be still before the Lord. Learn to rest in His presence. Learn to live in His presence. Stop stepping out of His plan. Stop coming up with different plans. Stop telling Him who you should be with, who you should marry, what job you should have. Be still before the Lord. Wait patiently. Come on. Wait patiently before the Lord. Do not fret. Do not fear. Don't be consumed with anxiety. Don't be consumed with that temptation to be afraid and live afraid. Do not fret. Refrain from anger. Doggone it. This is getting harder and harder. Refrain from anger. So when I see people that it doesn't seem like justice is happening, it's telling me to refrain from anger. Turn from your wrath. Hope in the Lord. There's no reason to hope in Him if everything is the way I think it should be, when I think it should happen, just the way I thought it should happen. I don't need to hope. It's pretty easy. But it says hope in the Lord. See, here's the key. Is when I align my heart with the Lord, when I'm in real relationship with God, when I'm truly taking delight in the Lord, His desires become my desires. His plan becomes my only wish. His heart becomes my heart. When I delight in the Lord, when I'm living in communion with Him, in relationship with Him, my fleshly desires, those ones that haven't come true a lot, they get burnt out. They get burnt away. They get blown off the threshing floor. And He replaces them. My desire for godly things, His plan in my life. Not selfish things that a majority of the time go against His will. So this morning, I kept sitting down to write this message, and God very clearly kept saying no and giving me nothing more than a couple questions. And I'm asking the team to come back up here. Because what I want to ask us this morning is this. What are you going after in your prayer time? What are you going after God for in your life? Who are you praying for? What are you praying for? Are you taking delight in Him? I've asked Megan and the team to just continue to lead us in worship, and I'm asking you whether this happens at this altar or at your seat. Many of us are different places in what I'm talking about this morning. On a day when we're told, like I said earlier, to put our focus, our love, our eyes on an earthly love, another person. It's Valentine's Day. I'm telling you right now, don't. I'm telling you right now to aim your eyes and your heart at the Lord. And then here's a side benefit of that. That person that the earth is telling us to focus on today, you'll truly understand and know how to really love them if you take delight in the Lord. But this morning, right now, I'm asking us to take time to delight in Him, to put our love, our focus directly on Him. And I said, we're at a couple different places. Where are you in those words? I said, maybe it's really hard for you to be patient in what God's shown you. Maybe it's really hard for you not to live in fear. Maybe it's really hard for you to trust and to fully surrender to Him. Maybe it's really easy for you to trust Him with your job, but with your children it's a different story and you constantly cling to them and you live your life through them. Maybe it's financially it's hard for you to trust Him. Maybe it's that you've been consumed with anger over someone that's hurt you, or people that it seems like justice isn't happening. What he's saying is that's an earthly viewpoint. That's a temporary viewpoint also. He never said in those verses, 100% time, every time, is that person He'll bring down wrath on. But here's the scary part. In some of those situations where someone's really hurt you, what I'm asking you to do could backfire on that. Because what God might do is break your heart for that individual. And what He'll do is ask you to begin to pour out your heart in prayer over that person. And maybe you're the key to unlocking that person's heart. I don't know. But I do know that's where the trust comes in. I do know that's where hoping in Him comes in. And so maybe it's the fear, maybe it's the anger, maybe it's the patience. Maybe it's you've just gotten really sidetracked and your delight is in a lot of different things and people, and it needs to be in Him. And so this morning as Megan leads us, I don't know where she's going to do her order, what it is, but there's a song that she's been playing in our house, a newer one, that basically says, I want to move your heart, God. And what I take from that is that I want my passion and my delight in the Lord to move my Father's heart. I want Him to see that and say, son, that's good. Oh, son, I want to teach you something. Oh, I want to show you something. Because He loves it when His children run after Him. Maybe it's you've given up on an issue you've been crying out to God. Maybe you haven't been that persistent widow who said, I'm gonna keep going after it. I'm gonna keep praying. I'm gonna keep going into His presence. And maybe it is something that God's gonna do and He's shown you a glimpse of that, but you haven't lived in that patience, and so you've quit going after that. Or maybe He says, hey, you know what? I love your passion, but I want to realign a little bit of what you're trying to ask me to do. And so this morning, let's put our delight in Him. Let's put Valentine's Day on hold. And let's go after who should be our one true love. Can we do that this morning? Don't just sit here. What would happen if, like a lot of times on a holiday like Valentine's Day or Christmas or birthday, you woke up and you're like, oh, it's the 25th of December. I forgot to buy my kids presents. And you had money in the bank account. What would you do? I guarantee you'd figure out a way to find something. Even if the only store was a grocery store, you'd buy them something. Valentine's Day, oh, like how many people rush out? And they're like, well, I didn't really know if you'd like those chocolates or those flowers, but that's what was available at that time. But you'd go figure it out, and we freak out. I mean, the stores, look at the stores. All the different things they put out for this holiday, this day. It's not even a holiday. I don't even like calling it a holiday. This day. What if we had that same, like we got up in the morning, and I got to like 10:30, 11 o'clock, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I know why I'm off today. I didn't spend time with Him. I got distracted. I got blinded. Man, I need to take my lunch break today at work and just begin to just cover my life and my family in prayer and spend some time with Him. Right then in work, I begin to talk to Him or whatever it is. What if we had that same thing, like woke up and be like, I got to get with God. I want to take delight in Him. And I don't feel complete until I spend time with Him. And I make my life about Him. And Lord, I want to take delight in you. I want to love you, and I want to be consumed by that love. I want to feel the same way we do in a brand new dating relationship, and we get so consumed by thoughts and what we're going to do and what we need to buy and the dates and all these different things. Lord, I want to be consumed by my love for you. I want to take delight in you. I'm going to ask them to bring down the lights, and I'm going to ask you to